And joining me now is Republican Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. Senator Graham, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Let's start with the border negotiations.
Okay.
There is so much focus on that. You have been so focused on that. Can you bring us up to speed? What's the very latest? Do you think there's going to be a deal before the new year?
No, I think this will go into next year. I've been talking to the people at the table. The White House got engaged 5 days ago. They sent over a supplemental with border security provisions that did nothing to change policy. We've been talking to them since September. 5 days ago, they finally sat at this table. Senator Lankford's doing a good job. The bottom line here is we feel like we're being jammed. We're not anywhere close to a deal. It'll go into next year. And let me tell you why it's important to get a good border security deal. What Congressman Castro said was pretty offensive. According to the FBI director last week, he's never seen more threats to the homeland than he does today. Wherever he looks, he sees blinking lights. The border has been obliterated since January 21 till now. We've had 6 million people come to date. There are 3.6 million on schedule to come this year alone. The policy choices of the Biden administration has made the border a dangerous place to come to. America is under threat, according to the FBI director. Since October the 7th, jihadist groups want to attack us because we're helping Israel. I've never been more worried about a 9/11 than I am right now, and our border has been obliterated, and we're not going to give in on some Band-Aid fix.
I want to talk about the proposals that are under discussion, but just to be very clear, you say you're not close to a deal. But it sounds like there has been some measured progress, both sides are coming closer together. How would you characterize that progress?
Oh, the only way we're ever going to get a secure border is we got to make them do things they don't want to do, but they're getting there. It was a choice by the Biden administration to change policy. It led to this debacle. But there is progress on asylum. There's a ways to go on parole. You tell me Ukraine's important, I agree with you. To all the national security experts, when you say if we don't help Ukraine, they could lose and the world would fall into chaos, Putin will keep going, I agree with you. But if you're a national security expert, you should have the same energy and vigor to fix a broken border.
And of course, the Biden administration has argued there are a complex set of factors which have led to the migrants who are crossing the border.
I don't buy that.
Let me ask you,
can I just comment on that? You chose to undo Trump policies. You gave in to people like Mr. Castro. You've created a nightmare. It's bitten you in the ass, and you need to change policy. This is not unseen factors. This is a policy choice that's led to the border being obliterated, and we're not going to take a Band-Aid approach as a solution.
Let me ask you, because Democrats are always also saying that what you are proposing would effectively shut down the border to families who are seeking asylum, who are running for their lives, Senator. What do you say to that criticism?
I would say asylum is being gamed. They're playing. Remember the guy who said, "Thank you, President Biden," went to New York? He says, "I'm not here to leave oppression. I'm here to have a better life." Under the Biden administration, the asylum system has become a joke.
But Senator, just very quickly, would these proposals effectively shut down the border to asylum seekers, to people who are running for their lives?
90% of the people who claim asylum are denied. So they're coming here for economic opportunity, not fleeing oppression. Under international law, you're supposed to apply for asylum in the first safe third country. 70% of the people would be denied asylum under international law, but Biden chooses to ignore the law. This is not people running for their lives. They're running here because the border is wide open. They think if they get here, make an asylum claim, they never leave.
And of course, the administration's argument is that they are trying to have tougher protections at the border while also trying to have a humane response to those who want to get here.
11,000 people Friday.
Let me ask you about Ukraine, because you just mentioned Ukraine as well. Obviously, if you break through this logjam at the border, you get a deal on Ukraine as well. The last time you were on this program, here's what you said about the need to fund Ukraine. Take a look.
To my House colleagues, if you strip out Ukrainian aid, Russia will keep going. There will eventually be a war between NATO and Russia, and it will be a green light to China to invade Taiwan.
Senator, this week you said, quote, I'm more worried about our border than Ukraine, 100%. If you don't get a deal on the border, are you willing to walk away from aid to Ukraine, or is that not still essential?
I am willing to help Ukraine. The package sent over by the president was pretty robust. The package sent over by the president to help Israel, I'm 100% for. The package sent over in September to help Taiwan, count me in. The border provisions sent over in September are a joke. October the 7th is a game changer. The FBI director said he's never seen more threats to the homeland than he does now. We're helping Israel, and jihadist groups want to hit us to punish us for helping Israel. I will not help Ukraine, Taiwan, or Israel until we secure a border that's been obliterated. You see from Mr. Castro, Congressman Castro, the attitude here. Anybody who wants to secure the border is a racist. That's BS.
Well, let me just get your sense on how critical Ukraine is, though. Do you still see getting aid to Ukraine as critical to U.S. national security?
Let me tell you what will happen if we pull the plug on Ukraine. Putin will keep going. We'll be in a war with NATO. China will see that as a green light to go into Taiwan. It would be a national security nightmare for Europe. If you don't help Israel destroy Hamas, if Hamas is still standing when this is over, God help us all. I get everything. Now, where are the same people lecturing me about Ukraine on our border? Our border is a national security nightmare. They chose bad policies. It's bit them in the ass, and we're not going to continue these stupid policies. We're going to change them.
Very quickly, do you think what is under discussion right now in the Senate can get through the House, where they're asking for some even tougher measures?
If we make asylum really asylum, if we enforce international law and stop blanket parole, yes, I think it will get through. There will be some people in the House who never vote for your Ukraine package, but if you have real border security, and I'm not asking for H.R. 2, I've been doing this for 20 years. I know what works and what doesn't. They have made policy choices to obliterate the border. They need to reverse these policy choices. Yes, the package can get through the House if it has real border security.
Let's talk about Israel, which obviously is also a piece of this. Another week of just devastating headlines out of the Middle East, including revelations that 3 hostages were killed by IDF soldiers. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan was in the region this week. His message, the White House's message, is Israel needs to do more to protect civilian lives. Do you agree with how the Biden administration is handling this moment and this crisis?
Generally speaking, yes. And the Biden administration went to Saudi Arabia. The idea of normalizing relationship between Saudi and Israel is still the big prize. I think the attack of October 7th was orchestrated to stop a march toward normalization. Iran's biggest fear if the Arabs reconcile with the Israelis. So give Israel the time and space to destroy Hamas. That's non-negotiable. But we need to be thinking about the day after.
Is Israel doing enough to limit civilian deaths, though, Senator?
I would hope they could do more, but here's the problem. Hamas is under schools or under hospitals, but let's talk about the day after. The Biden administration is trying to revive the normalization efforts, and I think they're right to do so. If you want to really hurt Iran long term, don't let them get away with destroying efforts to reconcile between Israel and Saudi Arabia.
But think that's possible? Saudi Arabia on board with that?
Yeah, I do. Here's what's changed after October the 7th. Israel will demand security buffers they've never demanded before because they can't afford another October the 7th. And to my friends in Israel, you do whatever you think is best for the state of Israel, but I can tell you, Saudi Arabia and other Arab countries cannot normalize with Israel if they're having been seen as throwing the Palestinians under the bus. We have 2 choices. Continue the death spiral or use October 7th as a catalyst for change. I think the Arabs are going to demand some form of 2-state solution to recognize Israel. I think Israel's going to demand security buffers different than before, and they need to make those demands. I don't know how this ends, but I'll tell you this. If we don't get this right this time, we're talking about another generation of just tit-for-tat death.
Okay, let's turn to the other big story on Capitol Hill, the impeachment, of course, of impeachment inquiry into President Biden. Your colleague, Republican Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa, said that he does not see any evidence, quote, that the president is guilty of anything. Do you agree with him? Is there any evidence so far?
You know, I haven't really been paying that much attention to it. They have to prove that President Biden somehow financially benefited from the business enterprises of Hunter Biden. We'll see.
Have they done it yet, in your mind?
if there were a smoking gun, I think we'd be talking about it. But, you know, the narrative that Hunter Biden presented is falling apart. The idea that Joe Biden knew nothing about the business dealing is falling apart. I'm not worried about impeaching the president right now. You know what I'm worried about? Helping the president bring the Mideast to a better spot, trying to convince the Arabs and the Israelis to not let Iran get you off track, give Israel the space to destroy Hamas. I'm trying to find a way forward to secure a broken border before we're attacked. That's what I'm more worried about than anything. I've never been more worried about attack on our homeland than I am right now. And there's an opportunity in the Mideast, in the middle of all this carnage, rape, murder, torture, heartbreaking visuals. There's a chance to change things. That's what I'm working on, changing things for the better at home and abroad.
Before I let you go, I do want to get your reaction to something that former President Trump said overnight. He was in New Hampshire. He was talking about the need to keep immigrants out of this country. Here's what he said. I'll get your response.
They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done. They poison mental institutions and prisons all over the world, not just in South America, not just the 3 or 4 countries that we think about, but all over the world. They're coming into our country from Africa, from Asia, all over the world.
The Biden campaign has accused former President Trump of, quote, parroting Adolf Hitler. What is your reaction? Are the president's comments representative of how you and other Republicans feel?
76% of the American people, not Donald Trump, believe the border is broken. They're worried about fentanyl coming over, killing their kids.
But what about his language, Senator?
Well,
just that language, that poisoning the blood.
You know, I'm worried about an outcome. He is right to want. He had the border secured, the lowest in 40 years in December of 2020. To the Biden administration, you're talking about Donald Trump's language as you sat on the sidelines and allowed the country to be invaded. 172 people on the terrorist watch list have come on your watch. Fentanyl is killing more Americans than any time in history.
Just on the language, though, I want to get your response. You have endorsed former President Trump. Are you comfortable with him using words like that?
You know, we're talking about language. I could care less what language people use as long as we get it right. I believe in legal immigration. I have no animosity toward people trying to come to our country. I have animosity against terrorists and against drug dealers, but I understand why people want to come to America. But we have chaos and we need to create order. If you think you're going to win the debate on illegal immigration by picking a line out of the Trump speech, most Americans understand the game has to change, that we're under threat, that we're going to get attacked, that our border has completely been obliterated. So if you're talking about the language Trump uses rather than trying to fix it, that's a losing strategy for the Biden administration.
Do you think he would appeal to more people, though, if he chose different words on that argument?
You know, I think the president has a way of talking sometimes I disagree with, but he actually delivered on the border. People are looking for results. If the only thing you want to talk about on immigration is the way Donald Trump talks, you're missing a lot.
Just finally, is it the position of the Republican Party that African and Asian immigrants are poisoning the blood of the people in this country?
No, it's the position of the Republican Party that we've lost control of the border, that terrorists are coming, that there's never been a higher threat to the United States from a terrorist attack from a broken border. But immigrants, people coming to America, we are many people coming to be one. We've lost control of our border. There are people coming here who are selling drugs. There are people coming here raping and murder, and there are people coming here trying to have a better life. The terrorists are coming here to kill us. After October the 7th, how easy is it to get into our country through a broken border and kill a bunch of us? To my Democratic colleagues, you're not going to get away with keeping this border broken. If you can't commit to securing our border, we're not going to have a deal.
All right. Well, we're going to watch those negotiations closely.
Thank you.
We'll hope you'll come back to update us in the new year. Senator Lindsey Graham, thank you. Happy holidays to you.